Hi there, I'm Heather Steves, and today I'm here to share with you pages 25 and 26 of my Crush Modville book. So I went ahead and I pre-cut some pieces and got some things ready for this layout before I started my video. And the first piece that I'm going to work on here is a pocket that I've cut out using the Cricut Artbooking cartridge. And I've wanted to tie in the craft cardstock on the right side with the left side, so I've cut that pocket out there. I'm going to go ahead and attach it. I'm using score tape, so I'm putting that down onto the little flaps here, and I'm using my little Cricut scraper tool. Yeah, I guess it's a scraper tool, and I'm using that just to cut the score tape with, so it just makes it a really nice crisp edge when you're ripping it. And that was just a tip that I got from a fellow scrapbooker, so I've used it also to adhere the tape. And then another tip that I got from a friend was to actually add some of this liquid adhesive. So what this does is just allows me a little bit of time to play with the positioning, because the score tape is not forgiving at all. So it just makes it a little bit easier. And now I'm going to go ahead and attach these photos to the tags. So I've also cut these tags out of my Cricut shape. So I actually, that one on the top there with the scallop border, I actually used that by welding a couple of images together, because I didn't really find a tag that I was too happy with for this, so I just thought I needed something fancy on the bottom, so I took that little border and I attached it, and then I was happy with it. So I'm matting my photos using the French vanilla cardstock. So because I don't want to add full-on white, because sometimes that's too stark, the French vanilla still gives you the appearance of white, but it's not as stark of a color. And I'm just not too sure what I'm going to put on the back of these yet, so I'm just going to go ahead and move on to the other side. I used an Elizabeth Crafts die that I had, and I cut out these little Polaroid frames. So I wasn't actually going to make my photos this small originally, but when I wanted to use this frame, I looked at it and I thought, you know what, it's fine. I can cut that extra off of those photos, no problem. So I'm just measuring them and cutting them to size and adding them to those frames. So now I'm just playing around with the layout of the photos on that right page. Not quite sure what exactly that I want yet, but I pulled out this other Elizabeth Craft die, and I love these little jagged edges here. And since it's like water, I thought, you know, that's going to really work. It's going to kind of tie in with the theme, give me that jagged edge on the edge of the river. So I've cut that out, and then I'm going to play around with how I want to attach that. I'm going to end up actually matting it. Not too sure of the color at first, so I'm playing around with that a little bit, and then I finally settle on a nice dark green, which is our close to my heart evergreen color, and it really ties into the left side because it's got the green in it there, so it just kind of pulls everything together nicely. So now that I've chosen my colored cardstock, I'm using the rectangular stitch thin cuts, and I'm cutting out a mat for that. And then you see that die actually cuts out a frame and a mat. So that's kind of cool. So I'll set aside the frame and maybe use that later. And then I can just attach my photo onto the mat and then put it on my page. So I'm going to move back to my tags again, and I'm just playing around with the back of this and what I want to do. And of course, the frame that I cut out actually fits perfectly with that. So I'm going to add that onto there with a little bit of craft cardstock behind it, and then put that little pocket card for journaling onto it as well. So of course it never fails when you're in the middle of filming a video, you end up running out of adhesive. So I thought, you know what, rather than cutting this and filling it and then just starting up the video again, I thought I'd just leave this on here and show you how quickly that I can refill my ATG gun. So this is actually refills that I get from Tape Jungle. They work wonderfully, they're very inexpensive, and I can quickly get them added back in there, as you see, and now I'm back up and running again. So next I'm just going to go through a stash of stickers and thickers that I pulled out that seem to go with the theme of this book. So I'm just pulling them out. I'm going to flip through them and see if I can find something to add on the top of that pocket to create kind of a title. So I'm really loving how this green banner ties in with the colors in the page. And then I found an orange sticker that also does the same thing for me. And then I'm going through with some of the other stickers, and I actually find a sticker that works and gives me a title that really reflects the subject of the page here. So on the thickers, you'll notice that I'm adding some liquid adhesive. I find that thickers don't have the strong enough adhesive when it's in a book like this, for sure. Sometimes on a layout it might be okay, but when it's in a book that you're flipping through, they're more likely to come off. So you just want that extra added strength of some more adhesive. So now I'm just looking, I want to add a little tab just on the top left corner of the pocket. I just feel like it needs something up there to help with that banner going across. So I found a little sticker, but I can't really find anything else to layer it with that's really working for me here. So I'm just going to go ahead, I'm going to stick it on there, and then you see I'm going to grab my my stack of my Crush assortment. So I have all of them, so they don't necessarily coordinate with this book, but a lot of the colors can be similar in the different books. So I end up finding this little blue one envelope, and it's the only one that really seems to work well. So I'm going to use it. I'm going to cut it apart, and I'm actually going to punch out a couple of partial circles. And so you see that when I punch it, it doesn't punch too crisply. So one thing about that is that the paper is really thin on these envelopes. It's more like printer paper. And because it's also such a small piece and a partial piece, the punch is pulling it a little bit. So I just trim it off, and it's no big deal. And then I add that on there, and then I still have this other little piece left over. So I'm going to punch another one, and then I'm going to find somewhere to just tuck that in after. So now I'm just looking for some little word stickers that I can put on the bottom of those like Polaroid type frames. So I pulled out another one of Vicki Boutin sticker sheets, and I found some words that actually seem to work nicely with this. So I'm just adding them on there to add a little bit of detail. So I'm just trying to decide, I needed to add a little something else there on the page. So I found this little Elizabeth Craft light bulb die. So I cut some more green cardstock, the evergreen, and then I'm going to use the rest of this envelope to cut the backer for that. It just needed a little bit more dimension there. So I'm putting all that together. I'm actually using my broad tip glue pen, which I believe is a discontinued item. But I'm just adding that on, and then that just kind of finishes off where those Polaroids are sitting and ties everything in together really nice. So now I just need to finish off with something on my tag. So I'm searching through my stash and I collect little bits of twine and stuff that come on clothing tags. So I'm adding that on here. It's quite thick though, so I'm tying it, just looping it through and knotting it, and that adds my last finishing detail. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel and ring the bell to be notified when I post more videos. Have a wonderful day.